Hi, welcome to our new episode. Today I will share a story from a film called The Thinning. Let us start it. Since the world's population will be extremely swollen in the future and there will be a serious shortage of resources, the United Nations requires every country to reduce its population by 5% every year. In the United States, to achieve this goal, all students are required by law to take a joint examination each year, and the students with the worst scores will be executed. And this elimination system is called thinning by the people. Lena is a veritable well-educated student, but her mother has a terminal illness, which makes Lena have to run for the high cost of treatment. Because the income of relying on tutoring students is not enough, she will also sell a cheating tool similar to contact lenses at a high price. But Lena's efforts still failed to return hope. The mother's condition continued to deteriorate, and the doctor was unable to do anything, which made Lena feel desperate. The next day, the National Joint Examination officially began, and all the candidates entered the heavily guarded examination room nervously and orderly. But Blake, who is the son of a governor, whom Lena has always been in love with, wants to find Lena to buy cheating tools. It turned out that when Blake was dating his girlfriend Ellie last night, he learned that Ellie was worried about the joint exam. So Blake wanted to buy cheating tools for his girlfriend to be safe, but Lena's equipment had been sold out. Blake heard that he could only enter the examination room quickly, comforting his nervous girlfriend. Afterwards, as the lights dimmed, the candidates also picked up the tablet computers in front of them and plunged into the exam. As the results will be generated as soon as the exam is over, the teacher announced the list of failing students on the spot. Unfortunately, Blake's girlfriend Ellie happened to be on the list. Blake could not accept this result. He immediately called his father, who is the governor, for help, but his father told Blake that no one can be above the law. There is nothing we can do about it. This made Blake had no choice but to resist, but in the end, he still failed to save Ellie and could only watch his girlfriend being taken away. A year later, Lena, as an outstanding student, ushered in her last exam before graduation. As the examination room was blocked again, all the candidates quickly entered a state of tense answering questions. But Blake looked different. He didn't even look at the topic and chose D directly. It turned out that the death of his girlfriend Ellie had already made him feel ashamed. To resist this stupid system, he decided to use his life to wake his father to his senses. But Blake didn't know his father, after learning of his intentions, immediately called Mason, the guard in charge of the examination room. When the exam was over, Blake realized that the moment he was waiting did not come, but Lena from another exam room was on the list. This shocked Lena very much. The teacher who knew about Lena's abilities also thought that there might be something wrong with the tablet, so he asked the guard to explain the situation. But the guard still insisted that there were no errors in the results after reporting. Seeing that the result is a foregone conclusion, the teacher secretly gave Lena a key and secretly told her to find a chance to escape. On the other side, the students who graduated successfully participated in the celebration dance together. But Blake watched his faithful father proud of the thinning plan and prepared to run for president of the United States. This made Blake deeply disgusted, and he then decided to use his power to rescue these classmates who were about to be executed. At this time, Lena and the classmate who will be executed have also been put on prison uniforms and taken to the thinning room. But just when they were chained to the chair to receive the injection, Blake entered the control room while Mason to the toilet and destroyed the entire school's electrical system. Lena broke free with this and then sneaked out with the key in the chaos, but she was still caught by a guard. Fortunately, Blake suddenly appeared at this time. He quickly defeated the guards and rescued Lena, but the two people who wanted to escape triggered a security alarm, and they could only escape into the ventilation duct when they saw it. Mason discovered that Lena had escaped from the thinning room, and immediately sealed off the entire school. This disturbed the students who passed the exam. They tried to leave the school but were beaten by the guards. Lena's friend Kellen took this scene with his mobile phone. On the other side, Lena and Blake, who had escaped, prepared to walk along to the server room. However, due to the disrepair of the pipe for a long time, Blake accidentally fell into the pool. Seeing that Blake had fainted, Lena immediately jumped off and quickly rescued Blake. Then Lena gave Blake artificial respiration again, and Blake quickly woke up. The two of them were wet, and after putting on their clothes again, they climbed into the ventilation duct again. It's just that when the two of them were moving forward, Lena's key fell through the vent again. Without the card, they cannot enter the server room, so the two can only enter the laboratory. Lena uses magnets to make a small tool that can obtain cards. But at this time the guard heard the movement of the laboratory and rushed over. Upon seeing this, Blake could only send Lena back to the ventilation duct first, but he stayed in the laboratory, successfully secured the guard and changed into the other party's clothes. And Lena also used the tool to get the key. She immediately sneaked into the server room, but soon found out that she didn't have a login password and couldn't enter the system at all. So Lena turned to her friend Kellen, who is proficient in network technology, for help. Kellen was very happy to learn that Lena had escaped safely. He immediately hacked into the surveillance system and helped Lena find the video of Mason entering the password. Lena quickly confirmed the password through the comparison and successfully entered the system. But after checking the results, Lena found that her accuracy rate was as high as 98%, but she was still judged as unqualified. But some powerful scumbags easily escaped execution. With further inquiries, Lena found that Blake's girlfriend, Ellie, who was executed last year, had passed the exam, but she had the same result as her. So Lena immediately sent these insider screenshots to Kellen. At this time, Mason had discovered Lena through surveillance, and Lena could only quickly escape from the server room. On the other side, Blake, posing as a guard, entered the thinning room and asked the guard to transfer the students to the lounge because Mason issued a new order. But this order aroused the guard's suspicion. Blake could only resist by force, but in the end, he couldn't win them, and the rescue plan also failed. At this time, Lena, who had escaped, was also captured by Mason, and she was immediately taken back to the thinning room, making Blake even more desperate. But the two did not know that Kellen had sent all the insider information to the media along with the video of the guard beating the student. As soon as these stories were reported, they caused an uproar. And the consortium behind the governor's election for president also issued warnings. To be the future president of the United States, the governor immediately decided to push all the crimes to the Captain Mason. He also let his men restore the results. Lena was also released soon. She escaped and immediately kissed Blake, whom she had always been in love with. But Blake is about to be executed, since the thinning list has been updated. Lena is extremely desperate. At that time, Blake's governor's father didn't seem to care. He also used this to play an emotional card to the public and strengthen his determination to support the thinning plan. In the end, Lena walked out of campus with the students. Those who cheated for personal gain and passed the exam were caught in the thinning room. Amidst the cry of struggle, all the students on thinning's list were injected with medicine, but they did not die. Instead, as the dusk fell, they were taken to a secret factory away from the crowd by the guards. Inside the elevator, Blake slowly regained consciousness. He looked around in a daze and found that the assembly line in front of him was producing tablets for exams. The workers in the workshop were also in order, and they were skillfully packing the produced product. Such a scene puzzled Blake and others. At this time, a worker removed the mask from his face because of fatigue, and Blake discovered that this was his girlfriend Ellie who was executed. Obviously, behind the thinning plan, there is a bigger and darker conspiracy. Okay, this is the end of the story. Welcome to leave a comment below, let's have a discussion. If you like my video content, please press like, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching, see you next time.